If you think your high school drama was bad, try getting harassed for over a year by an anonymous online bully, only to find out the whole time it was your mum. And it may or may not have been because she was obsessed with your boyfriend. So Netflix just dropped like a 1.5 hour documentary called Unknown Number, The High School Catfish. And honestly, this is one of the most insane stories that they've put out in recent memory. And it's true. That's the thing, it's all based off something that actually happened in Michigan.
A high school girl in Michigan was cyberbullied for more than a year.
And who turned out to be the suspect shocked everyone.
These texts were coming in at a clip of 40, 50 a day.
When they involve the state police and then eventually the FBI, you can just see how fast this escalates.
It starts off like your typical cyberbullying case. A teenage girl and her boyfriend getting hundreds of threatening texts from a so-called anonymous bully. But then it drags on for months, the harassment escalates, fingers are pointed at almost everyone or anyone being the culprit, and then the truth comes out. And the person behind it all was her own damn mother.
When we're doing the investigation and the FBI got involved, we come up with some stuff that comes back to you.
What do you mean?
The messages coming and originating from you.
No.
Does it have to do with Owen? Is there an infatuation there with Owen?
No.
But it gets a lot weirder than that, believe it or not. And the mother's name, of course, is Kendra. What is going on with the Kendras for this month? We literally just had In Love with My Psychiatrist, Kendra, and now we've got cyberbullying my own kid for a year, Kendra. 2 Kendras is a coincidence, 3 Kendras is a pattern. We need to keep our eye on the Kendras. We need a governing body for the Kendras to make sure this doesn't spiral out of control. So this story covers a lot of different topics like catfishing, online bullying, small town paranoia, a family breakdown and divorce, parents weaponizing the internet, some kind of like weird borderline obsession with your kid's boyfriend apparently, and it all unravels like the darkest form of some small town soap opera. So sit down, grab a drink, preferably a beer. You're gonna need it. If you're playing this while you're washing the dishes, take your time. We're gonna be here for a minute. So the story starts in Beale City in central Michigan. Beale City is about as small and backwater as it gets. It has a population of a whopping 312. I grew up in a very, very small town, and even we have 10,000 people there. 312? 312 people is essentially an extended family reunion with a zip code. Which, like, come on, if you're gonna be like the local catfish and harass your daughter and have such high stakes, why would you do it in a town of 312 people? You gotta give yourself better odds than that. Fucking amateur criminals. And in that setting, Lauren, who's a high school student, and her boyfriend Owen started getting these anonymous text messages. At first, it's pretty mild, like a couple of insults here and there, the usual mean girl kind of stuff. Some petty digs at her relationship with Owen. Most people would roll their eyes, block the number and move on, but that's not what happened here. This did not stop. Lauren was receiving like 30 to 50 text messages a day apparently. That's not even just trolling anymore. That's like a hate subscription service that no one signed up for. Imagine being a teenager and waking up to dozens of texts saying that you're ugly, saying that you're worthless, saying you should unalive yourself. It was pretty extreme, and your phone as a teenager, especially the one thing that's supposed to keep you like connected with your friends, is basically being turned into a weapon against you. That's the situation Lauren was in. And these texts weren't just things like you suck or whatever. They were cruel and they were graphic and they were tailored to Lauren's life. They said things like, "Kill yourself now, bitch. Dead. Hashtag bang bang. Hashtag suicide." Sorry, keep in mind this is coming from the mother. Or like weird shit about her boyfriend Owen, saying he wants sex, BJs and making out. He don't want your sorry ass. Like weird. Ain't no one wanna see your anorexic flat ass. This is a mother sending this to her daughter. His life would be better if you were dead. And then sent texts pretending to be like another woman, another girl. He laughs, smiles and touches my hair. We are both down to fuck. You are a sweet girl, but I know I can give him what he wants. Sorry, not sorry. He will be with me while your lonely, ugly ass is alone. I'm like, really picture this woman, her mother, sending this to her daughter. This is crazy. At this point, you'd think like Lauren would be like, okay, the iPhone is going in a blender because this is fucked. We're going back to Nokia flip phones only. I don't even know if Lauren's old enough to know what Nokia is. But that was the whole problem. Whoever was doing this, we don't know. They didn't know, but they knew whoever was doing this knew details about Lauren that only someone close to Lauren would know. It wasn't random, like they knew it was personal, and that's what made it so terrifying. And at this point, you're probably wondering, well, why didn't Lauren just change her number? Well, according to reports and the FBI, because the FBI then got involved, We'll get there. We'll get there. The messages weren't just coming from one number. It was coming from like a bunch of different numbers. Even if you did block one number, it would come, more would come from random numbers. So her mum was using like apps and websites to spoof numbers, to cycle through the numbers she was using to harass her constantly. And even if she changed her number, obviously that wouldn't have stopped it either. In other words, there was kind of no way out of it unless she just stopped having a phone altogether. And let's be real, our whole lives are on our phones now. It's kind of impossible to avoid. Our banking, our calls, messages, social media. If someone gets into that, they basically get into you. And that's where the sponsor of this video, Aura, comes in. Aura is all-in-one protection from identity theft, scams, and online threats for the whole family. You know when you start getting like weird spam calls or spammy emails and you wonder, how did they get a hold of my details? How on God's green earth did they get my information? This is how. There are companies called data brokers that do exactly that. They buy, sell, and trade your personal information, your phone number, your home address, your email, even your job, often without your permission, usually without your knowledge. And even though they are legally required to remove your information when asked, they make that whole process so intentionally confusing and draining and long-winded that no one does it. They make it frustrating on purpose. That is what Aura solves. Aura does all of the hard stuff. I can't recommend it enough. It searches for your information on data broker websites and dark web markets. It alerts you if something is found, and then it works to get it removed. With Aura, you don't just get one thing. It's like an all-in-one shield for your digital life. If your personal info shows up on the dark web, they will alert you right away. If someone tries to mess with your credit or banking, you'll know instantly. And on top of that, Aura bundles in a bunch of things that you would otherwise have to pay for separately, like a VPN, a password manager, antivirus. And here's the part that gave me peace of mind. In the event where something did happen, Aura actually includes $5 million in identity theft insurance protection, and they have US fraud experts ready to help 24/7. When I first tried it, I Googled myself, I checked the data broker websites, and sure enough, my information was all over it and it just felt gross. Aura makes it ridiculously easy to request removals. There's no chasing forms, no chasing customer service, no back and forth. They just handle it. So if you want to try this for yourself, head to my link, aura.com/Brianne, so that they know I sent you. And you can try it for free for 14 days. That's more than enough time to find out exactly where your information is being exposed and to have Aura start removing it. All without you lifting a finger. The internet is messy enough without all of your personal information floating around, so let Aura handle it. And thank you so much to Aura for sponsoring this video. And it didn't just stop at directing it at Lauren. The text started to be directed at her relationship with Owen as well, like trying to drive a wedge in between them. Someone, aka Lauren's mum, was intentionally planting landmines in their relationship. Like she even pretended to be another girl breaking up with her on Owen's behalf. Hi Lauren, Owen is breaking up with you. He no longer likes you and hasn't liked you for a while. What even is going on? What even is going on? This is from her mother. This is from her mother. Can I say it again? The text, they're from her mother. What the fuck? But you know who doesn't cyberbully their kids? I don't know about that one. My upper tier patrons over on patreon.com/brianneworth. These guys are the reason I'm able to make these videos. They keep the lights on. AdSense is not sustainable on its own, I'll tell you that for free. So without my patrons, I can't do this. There are tiers for as low as $3 a month. And if you, depending on what tier you can get up to 20% off my clothing brand Rift Supply Co, as well as like bonus content that's going up over there. Also, you can get your name listed in every video as a little thank you. If you're currently naked, you don't have a shirt, you need one, head to riftsupplyco.com and get up to 20% off if you head to patreon.com/brianneworth first. A huge thank you to all of my patrons. I appreciate you deeply. Again, this is literally not possible without you, so thank you so much. My timbers are well and truly shivered. These aren't the words of like some bored teen trying to be edgy. This was targeted, relentless psychological abuse. Again, say it with me, from her mother. And that's all I'll say on that. Just kidding, I have so much to say about this. It's like cyberbullying meets catfishing meets Jerry Springer. This is meets psych ward, because what is going on? And it spread even wider than that, like friends and classmates and even Lauren's family, they all got pulled into it. Anyone connected to her suddenly felt like they could be a target. And in a town as tiny as the one they were living in, where everyone knows everyone and everyone's in everyone's business and everyone's a fucking third cousin of everyone else, that kind of paranoia spreads fast. And here's the thing, this wasn't like a short-term thing. It didn't go on for a couple of weeks. This went on for over a year. Every day, dozens of texts, all designed to humiliate her and make her insecure. By the way, As your mother, you kind of are aware of what insecurities your kids have, and she was weaponizing those. I can't even fathom how evil you have to be to do this to your kid. How evil you would have to be to do this at all, but to your kid, your teenage daughter. So all of this was obviously designed, I'm assuming, to humiliate Lauren and to isolate her and to make her feel like everyone hates her and someone's out to get her. I actually don't know what this was designed to do, but it's not good. So as these messages keep flooding in day after day, week after week, the paranoia in Beale City starts to spread like wildfire.
You had to be careful of every single word that you said or else you could look guilty.
Remember, this is a town where like everyone knows everyone. If one kid's getting like 30 plus texts a day from an anonymous harasser, stalker, I don't even know what to call this. If that's happening, people start pointing fingers. It's gotta be someone from the town. They knew that much. Rumors spread through the school, through the community. And instead of focusing on the problem that Lauren is being relentlessly harassed, some people did start to question apparently whether or not Lauren was doing it to herself, which is a pretty wild leap to assume someone's doing this to themselves for attention. I don't know. But victim blaming finds its way into most scenarios of harassment. But imagine that, being relentlessly harassed every single day, being told you're ugly, being told you're worthless, being told to unalive yourself, your boyfriend doesn't want you, all of these things. And then everyone starts side-eyeing you, being like, maybe you did this. With the harassment getting worse and worse and rumors tearing through the community, the family finally involves the authorities. And this is where things get a little bit, how you going? Well, they already were. And because of how relentless and disturbing these texts are, this doesn't go to like the local sheriff, if they even have one with 316 people. Eventually, the FBI gets involved. Investigators start digging into the messages and quickly realize they're not coming from one number. The sender is using apps to disguise their phone number, essentially generating endless new ones, which goes back to explain why just blocking the number wasn't going to be a fix. The harassment just kind of kept regenerating like some digital hydra. So the authorities took the technical route and got warrants out with these texting apps, these like phone spoofing apps, which led them to Verizon. And Verizon starts tracing the logins, and then a pattern starts to emerge. The same phone number keeps showing up behind all of the spoofed accounts. And that led them all the way back to little old Kendra. And here's like the chilling part of it all. As if it's not already chilling. All the while, the entire time this is happening, the entire time the town is speculating on everyone, Lauren's being blamed, the FBI has stepped in, there's people, they're tracing the phone numbers back. While all of this is happening, Kendra is still positioning herself as the worried parent. She's checking in with the school. She's calling the investigators for updates. She's apparently showing up in meetings being like, what's going on with my daughter? Can we keep me posted? On the outside, she's playing the role of like a protective, worried mum. And on the inside, she is causing all of this turmoil. She's pretending to stand by her child in a crisis while also being that crisis. And that, to me, is what makes this case so disturbing, is the performance of it all. This wasn't like a parent losing their temper in the heat of a moment and sending a mean text, even though why would that be the first reaction? This wasn't a one-off thing. This wasn't just like a spur-of-the-moment bad decision. It was a very carefully constructed act. Kendra inserted herself right into the investigation, like she wanted front row seats to the chaos she was creating. She got to play hero and villain at the same time, with the victim being her daughter. That's what makes this so much darker than just a normal case of cyberbullying. It's a classic case of inserting yourself into the mess you created. Kind of like how arsonists will set fires and then volunteer with the fire brigade to put the fires out, or they'll just hang around the scene of the blaze, watching it all unfold and pretending to be a bystander. Kendra wasn't hiding from the investigation. She was right in the middle of it, pretending to help. So after months of digging, investigators start to piece their digital trail together. They've got the app data, the Verizon records, and the fact that the same number keeps popping up behind all of these accounts. And when they trace it back, it leads back to Lauren's mum, Kendra. And this is where the story goes from like small town drama to absolute nightmare fuel. Because the whole time Lauren, and most of the town I assume, is sitting there thinking that Lauren's being targeted by like a jealous classmate. Maybe a random adult. Never in a million years would anyone assume it was her own mother. But some people in the town apparently did suspect Kendra from the start due to Kendra's general pattern pattern of behavior, which we will go into. We'll get into that in just a second because it's weird. All of this is weird. So police move in and arrest Kendra in December of 2022. Kendra is pretty calm and cooperative, doesn't really push back all that much. All the while, Lauren is standing there stunned because there's body cam footage of this. Imagine being a teenager and finding out in real time that the person who has been tormenting you for over a year is your mum. That is therapy for the rest of your life. And the town, for the most part, absolutely flawed. This wasn't some shadowy stranger. This was the woman who volunteers at the school, coaches basketball, shows up at community events. People trusted her. She wasn't just like a mother, she was woven into the fabric of the town. And again, there's 300 people, babes. Everyone knows her. And Beale City had turned into like a real life game of Among Us. Before she got caught, again, everyone was side-eyeing everyone else. Classmates were being accused left and right. The parents were gossiping and nobody wanted to be the next name floating around as a suspect. One of Lauren's friends, Chloe, even got dragged into it because of some flimsy circumstantial evidence.
I started to look at a young lady by the name of Chloe Wilson.
Owen and Chloe became like really good friends, but then he started dating Lauren.
So yeah, Lauren and Chloe never got along.
Her parents literally had to hand over her phone to prove that she wasn't involved. That's how paranoid the town got. Kids were basically being treated like cyber criminals just for being in the same friendship group. No one wanted to be caught looking too guilty, and meanwhile the whole time the person doing it was just sitting in the grandstands observing all of this, coaching basketball and asking investigators for updates like she wasn't a part of it. I know I keep saying it, but one of the strangest parts of this entire case is reportedly just how involved Kendra was in Owen and Lauren's relationship. Even before all of this stuff came out, even before it started, she didn't just like show up when the harassment began. People said she was apparently already weaving herself into their relationship in ways that's just like a little bit off kilter. Bit weird for a mum to be doing, but what isn't in this story? For example, she would tag along in their early dates, and not just in like a parent being a chaperone way. She'd apparently really get in there, you know, get them to put their arm around each other and pose for photos, and then she would later give those photos as gifts, like as if it sounds like it's as if she wanted to be like a throuple. She even referred to herself as Owen's second mum, which on surface level, fine, okay, but within the ecosystem that is, you know, it's all a bit weird. And the boundary crossing didn't really stop there. It's been claimed that she once even picked up Lauren's phone and replied to Owen directly saying, "I love you." Imagine being a teenage boy and getting that text from your girlfriend's mum, but thinking it's your girlfriend, but finding out later it was from the mum, and then there's a whole Netflix series about it, and now there's some random girl in Australia talking about it. Imagine. Kendra also allegedly pushed for more involvement in Owen's personal life. According to reports, she would go and ask and inquire about Owen's dating life after him and Lauren split, even pressing Owen's mum about whether or not he was seeing another girl from school. And I guess when they were together, one story says that she even suggested turning one of Owen's sports tournaments into a joint family vacation, an idea that Owen's mum apparently gently turned down immediately. And she wasn't shy about being present and involved either, obviously. Kendra apparently kept showing up at Owen's matches, but not necessarily with Lauren, just at Owen's matches, just on her own. The mum of your daughter's boyfriend at the boyfriend's match. Okay, what? But it went further than just showing up to witness in the stands. Kendra signed up and offered to be Owen's coach. Think about that, not just cheering on the sidelines on her own, which is already odd, but apparently trying to put herself in like a more official role where her and Owen would inevitably have more alone time. Oh, it's weird. Oh, it's weird. In the context of everything else, the photos, the intrusions, the gifts, the trying to have a family vacation with them all, it reads as if she was trying to find every possible way to be more involved in Owen's life, even when it made no sense for her to be there. People have also said that Kendra was weirdly plugged into all of the local gossip, like even the high school gossip, chatting with kids and parents about who's doing what. To outsiders, it may have just looked like a mum being bored or just being involved in her kid's life, but stacked together with what we know now, yeah, these behaviors seem to paint a picture of someone who is unusually involved in their daughter's boyfriend's life. So that's why, in hindsight, apparently some of the other parents and staff weren't surprised when all of this came out. Apparently people had noticed her carrying 2 phones and being very protective of them. Allegedly, a school secretary even said her gut told her that the harassment wasn't coming from one of the kids. And at least one parent went directly to investigators, voicing their suspicion that Kendra herself might be behind it all. And again, one of the weirder parts of all of this is how many lies Kendra seemed to stack on top of each other. Not just with the text, but also extending into her own life. Take her job, for example. Kendra wasn't just like stretching the truth, embellishing a story. She was living a full-on lie. She was fired from her job, but instead of just admitting that, she went on pretending that she was still employed.
What about the Texas job? You still have that, or you got terminated from that?
I don't have that.
So when did you get let go from that?
A while ago.
So you've been lying to me for like 6 months, a year, and you haven't been working for Texas?
Right.
That she was still working every day like normal. Her husband, up until the investigation started, had no idea that she was not employed. She allegedly kept up the illusion by taking fake phone calls at home. This just gets so weird. Imagine watching your wife, your mum, whoever, pace around the house pretending to take business calls all the while they don't have a job. Instead, she's apparently spending all of her waking hours harassing your child. It's one thing to tell a little lie here or there. It's another thing to be like embarrassed about losing your job and take a second to tell your husband or whatever. It's another thing to fabricate an entire alternate reality and lie to everyone around you. I hope that goes without saying. Also, this wasn't years later. It wasn't years before. This was all happening at the same time that all of this stuff with the text was happening. The sheer level of deception and twisted fuckery going on here is mind-blowing. And it wasn't the only time she tried to twist the story. Even when she got caught, Kendra still claimed that she wasn't behind the initial wave of texts. That was someone else. We don't know who. And then Kendra's story is that she insists that she only started sending text messages to help the investigation afterwards. How does that make any goddamn sense? Apparently she was trying to confuse the real culprit and then just kept doing it for over a year. Investigators didn't buy it, neither did Lauren, neither would anyone else with 2 brain cells to rub together. What I don't get is from Kendra, why admit to everything else and just lie about that? Surely she knows no one's gonna believe her. Like, and also, even if that was true and she didn't she didn't send the original text, but she sent all of the other ones after that. That does not make her look any better. That doesn't change anything at all. Why even bother, you know? And in the Netflix documentary, she kind of downplayed everything and just said everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. That's the kind of thing you say when you forget to use your turn signal, you know, not when you harass and bully your daughter online for over a year. So through it all, she kept up this bizarre double life, and that performance, that like ability to play both sides at once is why this is so twisted and just chilling and oh, it's weird. When the case finally went to court, Kendra did plead guilty. For more than a year, she'd been sending thousands of abusive messages to her own daughter and Lauren's boyfriend, and now the whole community was watching to see what the punishment would be. She got, and I've had to check this multiple times because I can't believe this is true, she got 19 months in prison for all of this. 19 months. I don't know how the laws work in Michigan, but I would assume like she was also sending these texts to minors. A lot of them of a sexual nature, a lot of them about Owen and like a sexual nature. How is that not like what? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. 19 months seems light, is all I'm saying. She served some time, she was released on parole, but the damage she caused obviously didn't end when her sentence was handed down. And the fallout was pretty big. The fallout was fairly enormous, especially for Lauren. For Lauren, it was finding out the person blowing up her phone every day with messages telling her she's worthless was coming from the person making her dinner every night. Kendra's marriage didn't survive it either when the father found out about all of this, filed for divorce, as you could imagine. He now has full custody of Lauren, thank God. And around town, her name is now tied to the strangest, most disturbing cases of cyberbullying and betrayal I have ever seen. So yeah, a year of harassment, thousands of texts, FBI involvement, a divorce, kids being accused, the community turning on each other. And it all came down to some weird ass lady cyberbullying her own kid for a year. You honestly couldn't make this shit up. I am sorely tempted to make a part 2 of this because there was actually a lot of stuff that was, the documentary covered a lot. There's a lot that they didn't cover. There's a lot that they did not cover and things that have happened since. So I would love to make a video on that. So if you are interested in that at all, let me know below. If you've made it this far, give the video a like, leave a comment. It helps out a ton. Subscribe if you want to. Don't cyberbully your kids, and I will see you in the next one.